Well set. I will call the Transportation Committee meeting of October 18th, 2022 to order. Will we have a roll call, please?
Chaplin. Here. Desart. Here. Krajewski.
Here.
Ozog.
Here.
Chowski.
Here.
And Zay.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Just chairman's remark. Brian, why don't you introduce your guest today and welcome to the committee.
We have Sarah Thornton here from Hinsdale Central, who's an AP government class, and she has to follow at least 8 hours. She has to do 8 hours of following.
Well, not 8 hours of Krajewski. That's brutal.
Unfortunately.
I'll talk to the superintendent. I'll make a phone call. All right. Well, Sarah, welcome. Thank you. We have no public comment. May I have a motion to approve the approval of minutes of transportation regular meeting of October 4th, 2022? Motion a second. Any changes, alterations, or corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next is agenda item 6, procurement requisitions. May I have a motion to approve 2022-86?
So moved.
Recommendation to approve the contract to Altoffer Industries to furnish and deliver Caterpillar repair and replacement parts as needed for a contract not to exceed $25,000. I have a motion a second. Are there any questions? There are none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next is change orders. May I have a motion to approve change orders Silver Group to decrease and close?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next is 7B, was a change order to amendment to a resolution DTP 0110-19
So moved. Second.
issued to Alfred Benison Associates to provide professional design phase 2 engineering services for improvements at Highland Lake Road and Sunset Avenue to increase the amount $81,000, $650.97, resulting in amended contract of $225,940.19, an increase of 56.59%. We have motion second. Are there any questions?
Yeah, thank you. That is such a dangerous. It comes over the track. I mean, you basically come over the tracks and he makes you stop at a stop sign, which is probably the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Well,
I mean, literally a car length there.
Isn't that the whole basis for the 50?
Well, part of the increase is due to for about 2 years now, the project has been on hold, just trying to get the railroad to meet with us. And so they finally met with us and made some modifications to the design, the drainage. We also met with the ICC. This is going to be one of those situations where we have a signal on one side of the tracks and they'll get you through the entire intersection. So the ICC has some thoughts on signalization and the like. We also secured about $1 million in federal funds. So that by getting that, we also need to now engage the state of Illinois in a way we didn't plan on. We got to update all the plans and things like that. So, but it's absolutely much needed.
Thank you.
Signal improvement and safety.
What railroad was this on?
UP Rail. We get them to meet in the field.
Not an uncommon situation.
Not an uncommon situation.
All right. Any other questions or comments from me? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next is 8, authorization for payment. I have a motion to approve the request for approval of payment for the annual membership fee to Julie Inc. for resolution DTR 0679-16 approved by the county board on November 22nd, 2016 for locating services for the Department of Transportation for an estimated county cost of $17,500. I think we had a motion in a second. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next is agenda item 9, which is amending resolution. I have a motion to approve amendment to DTR 03348-21, which is an amendment to a resolution issued to Performance Construction and Engineering for the Kearney Road DM improvements to decrease the funding amount of $2,266.80, resulting in a final county contract of $425,631.20. Motion is second. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next is 9B. May I have a motion to approve an amendment to DTR 05438-16, amendment to a resolution for a local agency agreement between the county DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for improvements along County Farm at Schick Road to increase the county share of funding in the amount of $11,798.92, resulting in a final county cost of $92,510.92. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next is agenda item 10, which is intergovernmental agreements. May I have a motion to approve DTR 0414-22, an intergovernmental agreement between the county of DuPage and city of Naperville for improvements along Naperville Road from Naperville Road to Wheaton Road, Richmond Avenue to Deal Road, where county to be reimbursed $692,422. I have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The opposed? Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is number 11, general resolutions. May I have a motion to approve DTR 0415-22, a resolution for additional appropriation for impact fee service area 6 fund, York Township, $530,000. That motion is second. Are there any questions?
This is our county impact fees.
Yeah, these are, right.
Are we the only county?
So the only, no, Kane County also assesses an impact fee.
So there's two counties, it's us and Kane. So Will on our border has no impact fees. That's correct.
We got Dunn and Company or whatever.
Don.
Don.
Wow,
Yeah,
thanks,
because
our
it's all
chairman.
allowed by the ordinance.
We had a little
They
Yeah.
don't
discretion
our
there.
impact.
All right. Any further, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is 11B was DTR 0422-22, recommendation to approve an annual financial commitment in support of Chicago Metropolitan Agency for planning to consolidate planning of land use and transportation for the 7 counties
Second.
Northeastern Illinois, $72,718. And that's an increase of $36,359. For the motion, a second, any questions?
Why the double, Chris?
So as part of the new federal transportation bill, there's several new transportation programs that now CMAP needs to manage through their system as the regional FPO. And then also there are just new amounts coming to our local council of mayors. So to put in perspective, all local agencies were asked to increase their share, their proportionate share. We're paying still about the same or less than when it was CATS, the old CATS and NIPSI. So, we were at 25,000, it went to 36, and we've been holding at that amount for quite some time. So the doubling is really just to bring it in alignment with the new federal transportation bill.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, yeah, that. Next is item 12, grant proposal notifications. I move to place on file grant proposal notification GPN 057-22, and then grant proposal notification GPN 056-22, local technical assistance and community planning program to be placed on file. Motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, you guys have it.
Second.
Yeah, you say second.
Second.
Let's go on second, I'm sorry.
We take a roll. We take a vote again.
All right, when we have all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Okay. Next, we have a presentation, our annual and multi-year capital improvement plan, draft framework and formatting. And John, thank you for doing this. Take it away.
So a couple months ago, Chris came before you and talked to you about our strategic initiative updates. This happens to be one of them. This is our capital improvements program that we're bringing before you today. This is a framework discussion. So last year we adopted the long-range transportation plan, which included over $1 billion in capital improvements as well as capital maintenance. It's a significant program. Obviously, 75% of our budget, a large portion of it includes all of our engineering, land acquisition, construction, maintenance, portions of our projects. Presently, we actually have an annual and 5-year capital improvement list that we present to you as part of the annual budget. Chris does that well, but it is not a formal CIP. We also post an annual construction program on our website. We maintain an internal 5-year capital improvements plan list, which all of our departmental heads use religiously. And what we're presenting to you here as the CIP, it is not a budget. It's not going to supplant what Chris provides you in July or August, but it will be a pretty good, pretty substantial document that will give you a lot of detail about the projects that we're going to be doing in the year and in the 5-year program. Next, thank you. So a number of the budget, a number of the items that we have as goals include producing this document, which is an annual multi-year project schedule, and the reports that are part of that will be fairly in depth. This will be a document that kind of interacts back and forth with the LRTP. So the LRTP has kind of populated that original 5-year CIP, but when we do LRTP updates in the future, the CIP will kind of inform that. This the report that we're proposing to provide you all eventually is going to be not only just a project list, but also a narrative as to what what the schedule of the projects is going to look like, you know, our annual expenditures and revenues and that kind of stuff as well. So this will be a fairly publishable document. So we're also looking to convey what our project emphases are going to be. So what is it we're spending most of our money on? How are we utilizing our revenue sources? You know, and tracking performance of our projects at the time. Next. So the framework that I'm presenting today is we're going to be including a number of elements in the CIP, and the elements include projects, funding, and our reporting. We'll talk about, we'll provide you project lists and schedules, but we're going to also provide you, detailed specifics about location, scope, the project phases that are involved, and the costs. And this report will also kind of supplant what we typically provide you in February or March regarding the project maps and districts. So maybe no more of those 11 by 17 handouts. Annually, we'll have a document to provide you that also provides you some detail about what's going on in your district. Under funding, we're going to be talking about expenditures by project phase. So engineering 1, 2, 3, construction, maintenance, and participation, for example. So we consider participation to be where we're involved in a project that's federally funded. We'll also have some information about who we're partnering with on these projects. So whether we have municipal or state partnerships or other partnerships like Costco in the Woodridge area. Under reporting, we're going to do an annual narrative, as I mentioned, the annual and multi-year program, and we'll have some statistical reporting on program revenues and expenditures, and kind of a tracking of the performance of meeting some of our targets. These two particular items, which you can probably see better on your handouts, are samples of projects and kind of what that project list is going to look like. This will be a fairly compendious document where it's going to have literally 100 some projects that we'll be tracking annually. And so this will give you an idea, and then we'll roll up all that data and those expenditures, projected expenditures, as part of that overall narrative. Next. So next steps for you, we're going to be completing the design and the formatting of those reports this month. I just got something today from them that I think is pretty close to the completed form, and also working on the database as well, and review and update the project information here in November and December. We'll complete the data entry near the end of the year, and then produce a draft for you to consider probably in January, with ultimate adoption sometime into the first quarter of next year. So look for that in December or January for the draft, and hopefully members of this committee will still be in place. If you're interested, it will be. All right, so if there are any questions, I'm happy to talk to them. If you have any things that you want to see as part of the project information, we're happy to consider it.
Sarah, anything you want to see? Okay. Anybody
How it
else?
affects Hinsdale Central?
We're closing access. You get the month of December off.
So with your capital and also just the maintenance, it's over $1 billion. So I'm assuming a lot of that comes from grants.
Well, there will be grants, and so the funding that we have on the project pages will actually reflect, what federal funding is being used and what percentage of the project expenditures will be county versus federal. So we will do that for you. Most of our expenditures will probably come from local gas tax and MFT, but we're also tracking MFT bond presently, and we'll identify those projects that are MFT bonds as well. So.
Thanks, John.
Don't forget the RTA tax.
Yes.
The big one, that's
Put the
what
plug
saved
in.
us, thank God for that.
Maybe we'll up it a little.
Yeah.
Two. I hear three. Do I hear three?
I hear three,
Sure.
there you go, to four.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Finally.
Go to four.
So I do want to
I think
compliment.
all of the RT tax should go into transportation, frankly.
Well, that's what it does, that's would change to public safety, that's why we have to do it that way for staff. Go ahead,
Crawl before you can walk.
We'll do it slowly.
This is a start.
and we complained for years. Liz finally is chairman of finance, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Anybody, Brian, you everything?
I just want to thank John. I know this has been, I've been at the county 16 years and we've talked about developing kind of a multi-year program, something that'll inform not only our board members, but our constituents and partner agencies. And so when this is done, you'll have a page dedicated to each project, tell you where it is, scope of work, what county board districts, what municipalities. But more importantly, the reason this is a program, not a budget, is our budget talks about county funds. It doesn't reflect all the reimbursements we may be getting and the federal funds that we bring. So a $5 million project in our budget, if it's 80-20, is only shown as whatever the 20%, $1 million. So now it'll show it as a $5 million investment in transportation in DuPage County, of which 80% is federal, 20% county, and that's why it's a program, not a budget. It'll also show you what year those expenditures will be, and the like. So kudos to John. This has been one of those things we've been talking about for quite some time. It's nice to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
It's much better transparency.
All right, anything else on John's report? All right, then we'll go to next item, meeting report from our state attorney.
Nothing is done.
All right, old business, we have anything?
Just one thing, is that Woodward 87th, was that the only delay because of the strike?
Right. So that was both the strike and utilities.
So any other strike, any other delays?
So our pavement maintenance program, South contract, 55th Street through Hinsdale from I think County Line Road west to 83-ish or so, that we got the concrete work done. But at this point, unless the weather changes, we're holding on the million and surface until next year.
So then we got extra costs incurred now because of that strike?
Well, we have, and we talked about
Delay,
this.
I mean, everything gets delayed, it costs more when we do it.
Well, we'll see about 87th Woodward. We're not aware, nothing has started. So the utilities, typically when it comes to utilities, all the contractor gets is an extension of time. With regard to the pavement maintenance program, we talked about that very early on. We include allowable escalation factors, indices in our contracts. So at the time of bidding, contractors are bidding this in December, January, February. They don't know what asphalt prices are necessarily going to be in July, August, or September. So we include a special provision. They have the choice to mark the box or not. They all did this year, and they marked the box so if the price of asphalt and or fuel goes up, which it has, that they get an adjustment to those prices. So we talked about that in general, what that amount will be. We will be bringing something forward next meeting on what those cost increases are, not due to delays, but due to the global issues.
So on 87th and Woodward, do we have temporary easements on a few of those properties that we're
Yeah.
storing
Yeah.
equipment on?
Well, we secure easements for our work. The contractor may negotiate separate deals with property owners to store equipment, and that's them.
I know some is stored there, but some seems to be sitting on the side of the road, or I guess that's our right of way.
It's our right of way.
So we can park.
Well, what we'll probably do is obviously before we go to a winter shutdown and we're trying to plow snow and we don't want barricades and other things that are going to be a problem. So we'll make sure to work with the contractor to clean up our right of way so that we can do our winter operations.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else, anything on their old business? Chris, I think we have two things on new business.
Yeah, real quick, new business. So as we say in DOT, we have two seasons, construction and winter. And so construction is nearing completion. So winter, believe it or not, for us, it's just around the corner. Used to be November 1 till March 30th, but the last couple of years we've had as much snow in April than we did in March. So we are actively transitioning from our summer fall operations to winter. In terms of plow drivers, we always want to make sure we have enough people to plow the roads. We're nearly fully staffed. I think we have one or two positions in DOT. We also use the support of Public Works, Stormwater, and actually we have some DOT engineers and or admin that will help support our snow and ice operations if the need should arise. So we cover 1,000 lane miles of county highways. So we have 10 patrols, about 100 miles each. So typically in a response, We'll have anywhere from 2 to 3 plow drivers running in tandem and someone dropping back to turn lanes so that we clear the roads. Trucks, on the other hand, we just got our 21 trucks, our 21 order. Unfortunately, several had to go back for some fixes. Our 22 orders, we don't expect to get till next year. So anything we would normally dispose of or trade in, we'll keep those for spare parts because we got to keep those 22 vehicles that we thought we were going to get new in 22. We won't get them until 23. So, but we are transitioning those vehicles, and so we'll be ready with our fleet for that. Salt liquid contracts are all in place. We don't typically have an issue with supply. The issue's been drivers. So the one thing we've adopted is we'll staff our maintenance yard on weekends and or off hours just so we can take a delivery for salt or liquids. We also try to order well in advance of our expected need. The one thing we are short on are mechanics. We have 7 heavy mechanics. We only have 4 slots filled, so we're down 3 positions. We're actively recruiting for those. We did recently fill 2 auto positions, and what's nice about the autos, they can assist the heavy with some basic repairs, plow blade replacements, windshield wipers, headlights, things like that. So we are down mechanics. We do have this committee, we did bring through this committee and board. We do have some emergency repair contracts with a couple local vendors that if we need to take a plow someplace and we don't have the mechanics available, we'll take it there. In terms of forecast, if you trust it, the temps are expected to be near normal or above. So that's National Weather Service as of today. In terms of snow, an average year for us is 30 inches of snowfall per the National Weather Service. We're leaning toward above average. So we'll kind of see what that means. The reason I bring that up is we basically have a bare pavement practice. And so that means we run a 24/7 hour shift. We don't call the guys in until the roads are clear and running wet, if you will. If we run into any issues with plows, the availability of plows or needing repairs, we'll still cycle our drivers through. The difference will be the level of service may not be what we've become accustomed to, but we'll keep the committee informed if we're seeing any change in vehicle availability and cycle times. Normally, I think we're about 2.5 hours cycle time to get 100 miles with 2 to 3 drivers. And if we lose a plow, or we have to divert someone to another route, it's interesting in DuPage County, we'll have a much different snow event south and southwest than we will northeast. And so we're always mindful of District 5 and Eola Road. So with that, I'll take any questions. Otherwise,
That's my main track, to keep Rillo.
you buy a truck.
Hey, just keep going
When's
happy.
the last
Yeah.
time you-
When was the last time I drove a plow?
Yeah, check it.
So they don't want me driving a plow. I've ridden in one.
And the beet juice, we got enough of that?
We got enough beet juice. Yep. Our tanks are full and our domes are full, so we're ready for Mother Nature. All right. That's it for me under new business. Oh, no, John, one item.
So in front of you is a public hearing notice that Pace sent us this week for their in-person budget presentation here at the county in this room on Thursday at 4 o'clock. If you can't make it, I know that there's a schedule that they included within that for virtual public hearings at the other counties. I believe the presentation is going to be very much the same, every single place that there is. The reason I'm bringing this to you today is because buried lead in this particular notice is that they are proposing under the new budget next year to eliminate 69 of the fixed routes that are 69. Total 69, 44 of which are in DuPage County. Most of those are in southern DuPage, 37 of the 44 are in southern DuPage, ranging from Aurora over to Hill. So those routes are nearly or are largely the commuter shuttle routes. I think one of the reasons why they are eliminating those or choosing to do that is because of the uncertainty of ridership after the pandemic. Obviously, there's a lot of telework going on still, and I think Pace is just laboring. Many of these I would consider to be largely unhealthy routes to begin with. Even before the pandemic, they were probably short of ridership, not meeting their targets. So we're going to evaluate what that means for the county. We'll probably submit comments back through Mayor Marcucci, who is our representative on the PACE Board of Directors. We'll make sure that lets you folks know what it is that how we evaluate or analyze what we see, and to provide that back to the committee.
Didn't they have to meet 50% of the fare box? Wasn't that it was that the formula one
No,
time?
their fare box recovery is less, but they want to make sure that to change that. I think that's what RTA pays for, trying to drive at with the legislatures to reduce that fare box recovery.
With everybody working remotely and everything else, it seems natural that they're going to be ridership will be down. So.
Well, there's some significant routes that, one of the routes I point out is Route 465, which was a negotiated route between PACE and the Esplanade, Northwest Downers. That one is projected to go away as well. And so I think we need to be, observant, make sure that we register our interests, here, especially for major employment sites, major retail sites, and colleges. So anything that goes that is served by any of these routes, I think we need to put in our opinion. So,
And that will be through Mary's Committee of Public Transportation. So we can do that. Okay. So.
And John, when would you say that comments would be due?
Well, I know that these hearings are going on. They have indicated that they will take them all the way through November. So I would guess that we'll probably do that in the first part of November.
So we'll talk about that.
Right, Brian?
Yeah, I think the whole concept of it is changing, and PACE needs to adapt to it. So the people aren't going on the commuter rail anymore. So I mean, the trains are empty going downtown because people are working remotely. The Esplanade Center is maybe 70% leased right now, but about 25% occupied because so many of these companies have left, and they have their leases or they're subleased at least for the duration. Big space, little people, and eventually all those things they're not going to renew those leases. But what they do need is getting the people to the shopping centers, their workers, to some of the local places. That's what PACE. That's where the demand seems to be. All these places can't hire people, or if they can, they can't get there to work. But that seems to be, they're not going to the Esplanade Center anymore, or but they're going to, whether it's Route 83 centers there to work. So I think they just need to maybe relook at what their routes are.
We've suggested that as part of our mobility plan. PACE sits on our steering committee, and it's one of my emphasis points is that we need better connectivity between routes and major points of destination.
If they eliminate the one to the Esplanade Center, which probably because there's nobody using it anymore, they probably could pick a different route going to different places that actually would have higher demand.
Yeah.
So, Chair, why are they, so you're saying they're shutting down 69 routes. 70% of those routes are in DuPage County. So why is there only one public hearing in DuPage County?
Well, I'm not sure what their structure is,
70% of the routes are here.
but I would expect that they will get plenty of comment.
Wow,
It could probably do.
we're the most impacted county, and there's three public hearings in Cook County. I just don't understand why we're being.
They may be considering
North, central, and
Thank
south.
you. Just
virtual.
being a former public transit chair, just historically, nobody comes to these meetings. Nobody, zero. So I've gone as public transit chair and sat there with PACE staff and nobody shows up. They can go online and I also checked this out, but I mean, year after year after year, we hold these public hearings and nobody.
That's a good point.
I
And
will
the
say that.
virtual gives more access, so there's that.
I will say that in the past, when the public has objected, PACE has listened. So there have been a number of routes that have been pulled from that list in the past if they get enough. One of the things that PACE is doing is they, through their on-demand service, expanded that on-demand service in Naperville and Aurora. So some of that commuter traffic through the on-demand.
Well, I know that, with the pandemic, Metro, PACE, CTA, they wwere all losing money because people started working from home. But it does seem to me that ever since I got on this board 4 years ago, we've been talking about that last mile issue, getting people that last mile. from the train station to their office or job, whatever it is. And this seems, this, you know, shutting down all of these lines seems to be going backward.
I mean, it says on the memo that these haven't operated since spring of 2020. So, I mean, has there been an outcry for anybody to have these routes back?
No, I think parking availability at the train stations has also worked against, worked against the buses and the shuttles as well, because with the parking spots that are open. Aren't usable.
Okay, thank you.
All right, John, thank you for your report. I think that takes us to executive session. I have a motion pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2C21 to go into closed session for the semi-annual review of executive session minutes. We have a motion and second. We have a roll call, please.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
Krajewski.
Aye.
Ozog. Kachasik.
Aye.
Zay.
Aye.
We're in closed session. You're out of closed session. We're back in open session. I have a roll call vote in open session.
Chaplin. Here. Desart. Here. Krajewski.
Here.
Ozog. Kachasik.
Here.
Zay.
All right, we are back in open session. The committee finds the need for confidentiality still exists as to all of the December 4th, 2018, July 21st, 2020, and October 4th, 2022 minutes, and the verbatim recording involved, and those matters should not be released. The committee finds the need for confidentiality no longer exists to the April 5th, 2022 minutes, and I would take a motion to release the minutes of April 5th, 2022. I have a motion, a second. Are there any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Those are released. There is nothing else that I have, so without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you, guys.